Hey everyone, Andrew, day 2 Dryden, recording here again for Nikachu MTG, and we're back with regular old-fashioned Burn. We're playing Burn in Modern. If you enjoy this kind of content, please do like, share, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel. I'm excited. I've been missing playing with regular old Burn. We've been goofing around a little bit lately. We've been playing Wizards. We've been playing 12 Bolt, which is kind of like Burn. But I'm finally done all my essays and things for this semester at school, which has been killing me for the last couple weeks. Why we're getting these videos out a couple days late, so apologies for that. But again, I've been goofing around with with this list for the last couple days. It feels really good. It's just so much cleaner than all the other decks I've been playing lately. It's just down to business, lightning bolt your face, attack you with Goblin Guide. Here we go. So let's get into some of the choices, because for some people you might have seen this channel in quite a while with a a normal Burn list. So first thing I want to point out, I'm back up to 20 lands. You could still go 19. That's fair. That's fine. But because of some of the sideboard cards we've got, I wanted to, they cost like 3 mana. I wanted to be able to make sure I curve out. The other thing I want to point out is, I don't remember if I did this the last time I recorded with Burn, but I'm up to 3 Grim Lavamancer in the main deck. It's really good against small creature decks and things like that, which aren't really a huge deal right now. I mean, Humans is still around. Merfolk is being made great again by a certain someone, and things like that. But the biggest thing about Grim Lavamancer that I really like is that it costs 1 mana, and the ability costs 1 mana. So a lot of the time what happens with Burn, especially maybe if you're running 19 lands, like it's that right mix of lands and spells, right? That's really what you need to have. So one of the things that's nice about Grim Lavamancer is that if you're drawing too many lands, you can still use Lavamancer to make use of that mana and get value out of your already used spells or your fetch lands or whatever. And it lets you sort of keep the gas flowing. In addition to that, it's just a low curve option. So it's nice if you have too many land. It helps if you have too many lands. And if you have too few lands, I mean, it doesn't cost a lot to use. So it helps fit into the best utilization of your mana, which is something you really need to do. If you really want to be tapping out every turn and killing your opponent as quickly as possible. Now, I mean, sometimes that's not true in control matchups where you want to like sort of sandbag some of your power until you can overload their counter spells. But I just mean as a general rule, you want to be getting damage for your mana investment as much as possible every turn. So that's why I really love Grim Lavamancer, in addition to being able to get rid of small problematic creatures and things, while also letting me use my bolts and things on the opponent's face. So love Lavamancer. One of the reasons why I'm okay going back up to 20 lands. 3 snow-covered mountains. I still like having these 3 basics in the deck with Field of Ruin and excuse me, Path to Exile and things like that running around. Having 3 instead of 2 basic lands is a really big deal, especially since the decks that you aren't going to be maybe getting Pathed or Field of Ruined against are going to be sort of pressuring your life total, in which case you want to have fetchable targets that only cost you 1 life as opposed to like 3. So that makes a big difference. Oh, sorry, a lot of talking. I don't have a Stomping Ground in the deck right now, but I am considering going back to a single Stomping Ground for Destructive Revelry in the sideboard. I'll talk about that in a moment, but in the meantime, 3 Sacred Foundry is also really good. It's nice if you do get stuck on your lands and your opponent Field of Ruins or Ghost Quarters your first 2 Sacred Foundries and think, okay, great, you know, they don't have any more white sources. Well, having a third one every now and then has been extremely helpful. In addition to that, anything else? Well, we got our normal creatures. We got Goblin Guide and Swift Spear. Good turn 1 plays. Just get the beatdown going. I've got 2 Skullcracks in the main along with 2 in the sideboard. Life gain is still something that you want to take into account. Still one of the easiest ways we lose games. Oh, I guess I could talk about the land base a small bit more. What do I have? 4? No, 10. Yeah, I've got 10 fetch lands. That could change. You could have as I would never have, if you can afford them and if it's not an issue, I would never have fewer than 10. But you could go as high as say 12. That's probably the range you want to be. 10, 11, or 12 of them. I would either cut an Inspiring Vantage, maybe a basic, maybe, you know, I'd trim from these other spots. Inspiring Vantage would be the first one I'd go for. I'd go down to 3 Inspiring Vantage before going down to 2 Sacred Foundry or 2 basics with a 20 land build. So anyway, sorry, back to the cards. Eidolon. I've seen some people ask about this card lately. So, a couple people sent me messages on Twitter and things like that. This card is still one of the most powerful cards in Modern. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes it looks really silly when you're on the draw and they just go like Champion of the Parish into Thalia's Lieutenant into something silly and just start smashing your face in. It's not fast enough. It just doesn't get enough done if you're not removing those creatures out of the way. But if this doesn't get answered immediately in a lot of matchups, it completely changes the entire complexion of the game. This card, for if you have sort of the initiative in the game, completely changes everything and lets you pull ahead. So yeah, this card's still amazing. Nobody doubt this card. Eidolon's still doing what Eidolon does. Searing Blaze, also great against any small creature decks, even normal sized creature decks or larger ones. It's fine, right? Basically, you know, being able to get 6 damage one way or another off of 2 mana is insane. Boros Charm, obviously amazing. It's got a million different modes, all of which come up every now and then, the least of which is probably the double strike, but whatever. Lightning Helix is great against racing situations. Got Free Win Red, not Free Win Red, Runaway Red, Arc-like Phoenix, whatever you want to call it. That's going around right now, so life total is important. You do want to kill your opponent as quickly as possible, and so are a lot of opponents, so being able to sort of gain some life is huge. Great card in the mirror, so something to keep in mind. Rift Bolt, normally this is a 4 of, but because I went up to 20 lands, I had to cut something, and I decided that Rift Bolt was going to be the culprit. This was also the first card you would look at cutting back when Wild Nacatl was in the main deck a couple of years ago. So you know, that's why this is gone. There's also, I haven't seen any Chalice of the Voids or anything like that running around lately, so this used to be a way to get around Chalice of the Void with your burn spells, so that's less important. Over to the sideboard, we've got the Skullcracks, like I mentioned. There are a ton of graveyard decks running around, so I had to change around some of my graveyard hate. We have Rest in Peace, which is of course important. We also have Anger of the Gods, so this is great against Dredge. I probably wouldn't bring this in against Arc-like Phoenix because I've got enough other options, but it's an option. This is great against Dredgevine, all those other things, because it exiles. This is even good against humans, especially if you're on the play. This is usually enough to clear away some problematic creatures, or even just completely swing the board back towards you. We don't have green for Destructive Revelry. Again, I think you could do that. If you were going to, I would take out either an Inspiring Vantage or a Sacred Foundry for the Stomping Ground. Replace these Smash of Smithereens with Destructive Revelries, and probably also a Molten Rain or a Searing Blood to get a 3rd, if not 4th copy in your sideboard. That being said, Smash of Smithereens is something we still need, and we are going to bring it in against that Arc-like Phoenix deck because they're bringing in Dragon's Claw and things like that. So, sorry, I shouldn't say things like that. They're bringing in Dragon's Claw, which is just completely swings the match the other way. It's so hard to win through that card. Path to Exile, good for any giant stuff, anything pro-red. We're going to bring this in against humans, Eldrazi, maybe at least 1 or 2 copies against Merfolk, probably, because of Master of Waves. We need to be able to answer that. We don't really want to ramp them, but what are you going to do? And then I wasn't sure, again, I'm not set on this sideboard specifically, but I don't hate it. I've wanted Molten Rain. It's good against a lot of decks in the format right now. There's a lot of multicolored decks that you can punish. Jund is around right now. Tron is still around. Control is still around, and I mean they're not necessarily, these aren't like game-breaking I win cards, but it's hard for Burn to have game-breaking I win cards against those decks. So I still like this as a sort of a spicy. It's not that spicy. Whatever. I like it. I'm gonna play it. Hopefully we get to see it get some value, and then of course Searing Bloods for again anything small creature deck, humans, Arc-like Phoenix. Any kind of stuff like that. So that's the deck. I've been enjoying it. Back to basics with Burn. You know, we're back in the saddle again. And so this has been Andrew, Day 2 Dryden, doing a deck tech for Burn. This is about mid-November 2018, and I will see you in round 1. Okay, so this hand is potentially great. My rule has always sort of, well, my guideline, I should say, has always been, if you have a 1-land hand, you have to be able to cast at least 3 spells to try to keep your game going if that second land doesn't show up right away. We actually have 4 spells we can cast with this hand, and even a turn 1 creature. So this is a slightly risky keep, but I'm going to keep. Our opponent mulligan to 6, and we are on the draw. I should mention that as well. So opponent is debating what they want to do. Oh man, I really want to win this game. I haven't been playing Burn for so long. Really want to have a triumphant return to this channel. So opponent kept 6 mulligan, scryed card to the top of their library. All right, well we're gonna see our old friend Taylor Swiftspear here get in on turn 1. I'm hoping that happens. And oh man, tapped Hollowed Fountain. All right, maybe they looked me up. Maybe they found out what I'm all about. Well, this will suck a little bit if I don't know, we get ghost quartered or something. But you don't know what land is going to show up. Could even just be like a basic mountain or something. So with this hand, we kind of have to get a Sacred Foundry right now and hurt ourselves, but. It is what it is. If this is blue-white control, I don't hate shocking myself a little bit. One of the things that does is it makes it harder for their timely reinforcements to gain them life. If you're sort of attacking your own life total as well and then just killing them out of nowhere. That being said, I haven't checked the lists in the last month or so, but lists before were only running usually maybe like 1 timely reinforcements in the main deck and maybe 1 or 2 in the sideboard. So that might even not be something. Oh, okay, so we're against Jeskai, it looks like. Oh, that's not true. No, this could still easily just be blue-white. Wow, second land showed up. That's really nice. I like that. Well, I don't want this creature to die, but there's probably nothing we can do about it. If they have a removal spell, they have a removal spell. So I think we kind of just need to force them to have it. And if they do, I have a feeling like it'll probably just eat it right here. If they have a bolt or something. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Hopefully hopefully it's a counter spell. That'd be nice if it was a counter spell. Like a mana leak or something like that. Even like a remand. Okay, well, they shocked, so I mean, we're still getting some value out of this. Yeah, bolt. And I didn't have an instant speed way to do anything, right? Everything's a sorcery. Yeah, so like there was no way to play around this anyway. Yep, that is what it is. That's fine, sure. And because it's going to be harder to get out of our hand, I'm going to put this Rift Bolt on suspend. I'm going to fetch. I don't have a Searing Blaze or anything in my hand, so I'm just going to fetch and get this Rift Bolt out of here. There is a reason to maybe get another Sacred Foundry, because again, it makes it harder for them to just get us off white. But I think that this is fine. I don't want to overthink that, but that's definitely a play. So we're doing pretty well here. We've got them down to... Well, they're going to take 3 damage in some way, shape, or form this turn. So we've got them down to 10 here. Actually, that's not necessarily true, because I might... Oh, darn. Okay, well, in my mind, I was just going to hold up and pass. But now I feel like this... So how much... We actually have... We've drawn really well. We got that second land on turn 2, and we've just got tons of gas in our hand. So this Goblin Guide, I think, is just going to either eat a counter or get like Snapcaster bolted or something like that, which I'm not thrilled about letting them use their mana, but I still need to use my mana as best as I can. So we're going to get the Goblin Guide out there. You know, the Goblin Guide isn't an instant speed spell, it's sorcery speed, so we'll see what happens. I have a feeling like it's just going to get eaten by a Snapcaster Mage here, but, I mean, it's better than them going like Lightning Helix, Snapcaster Mage or something like that, which, again, still could happen. If we had a third land, I'd really enjoy it, because then I could more easily... Yeah, okay, so here we go, Snapcaster Mage. I could more easily play around like a Lightning Helix, but whatever. It is what it is. We're still going to get them down to 7, and then we can... I mean, if they don't just go Lightning Helix, then we are still in good shape. I was going to say, you're not going to cast the Bolt? There you go, okay. Should probably cast that Bolt. But, yeah. They're sort of, okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, well, and now this is where we want to be. Now they're forced to either tap out for like a Teferi or, I don't know, yeah, again, like a Lightning Helix or something, and we can just sort of hold stuff up, and then, yeah. I'm not sure what I'm going to do at the end of their turn. I'd really like to just go Bolt right now, but obviously I cannot. I'm not sure if I want a Boros Charm or Lightning Helix at the end of their turn. I don't think it matters too much. But we'll see. Would have been nice to hit that third land by now. It would make these turns a lot easier. So the only card I'm really concerned about right now is Lightning Helix. Although, is it even that big a deal? Okay, so let's say we Helix them, and they Helix us back. So they stay at 6. Hypothetically, we could untap and then just win. So, yeah, I'm still good with this. This gets countered again, that's fine. Will be all the more easy to resolve a spell when we untap. Looks like Lightning Helix mana. Oh, Logic Knot. Okay, yeah. Pay 1 for Logic Knot. Nope. Oh, that's good too. Oh, that's good too. Oh. Oh, that's... I didn't think there was going to be a draw that would actually make me not consider just slamming spells into their face. This is actually... Oh, man, I love Eidolon. Oh, what if it just gets countered? Yeah, you know what? If it just gets countered, then we still have a handful of gas. And if it resolves, then we're again, still in good shape. Okay. Happy to see that. So now if they... I don't know... Bolting the Eidolon? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Darn. So, come on, tap out for Jace. No! Ugh! Gah! Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Man, like, I'm not about to start complaining about not drawing lands, but okay, now what we need to worry about is Snapcaster Timely Reinforcements. That's what we need to worry about now. Oh man, like we just haven't been able to keep the pressure on enough because of our land drops, but you know what? Our opponent is down to 3 cards. So I cannot complain that much. Yeah, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just do what we can. I don't like tapping out. Yes. Okay, well there we go. We got that 3rd land. So now it's going to make it easier to just draw like a bolt or something. That's pretty good too. That's a pretty good draw. Again, this would be so much more difficult if we hadn't got that 3rd land just now off that path. People talking about like Assassin's Trophy and all this stuff as yeah, probably gonna get countered, right? People are talking about Assassin's Trophy and cards like that. Giving your opponent that extra land is super helpful. I would only be able to cast 1 spell, and I would basically have to just hold everything up. I wouldn't even be able to throw out this Swift Spear. Swift Spear, I mean, I guess I could have held up the Swift Spear hypothetically, but it's one of those cards where, again, it... Okay, well, I played around the Timely Reinforcements. Now am I going to play around the Lightning Helix? I'm going to cast the Skullcrack because if they counter it, I can still just draw like a Bolt and win with Boros Charm and Bolt. If I play the Boros Charm and they counter it, I can't just draw a Bolt and win. That's only 6 damage. So, one frustrating thing is that it does leave us vulnerable to Field of Ruin on our Sacred Foundry. But I don't think that's where they want to go with this right now. Yeah, Cryptic. Wow. Well, I'm going to do this now while I can still get damage in. And I guess I want to hold this up because it's just going to come in tapped. You know what? It's possible I could have played it out. But, like in case we got Field of Ruin on our... Remember, folks, what I said in the deck tech about the right amount of lands and spells. This is a good example of why the burn deck is very reliant on the right amount of lands and spells and in the right time. If we had gone land to start the game, sorry, with our draws, so like we hit our first 3 land drops, this game would have been a lot. This game would have been a lot easier to pull ahead with, but it would have been easier to hold up that Timely Reinforcements earlier. I mean, it potentially in big trouble here. Oh man, down to 2. Oh man, even if that Lavamancer had been able to live, that would have been huge. Normally, I would just play this out because it forces them to answer it. With this many cards and things in hand, I think I am willing to wait until I can follow it up with at least one more burn spell. At least one. Okay. Okay, now the plan. See, what I want to do is suspend this so that it forces them to have to deal with multiple things on a later turn when I'll have like full mana available to me. Oh no, I can do this now because I can pay 2 life for the Sacred Foundry, try to resolve the Eidolon, and then if the Eidolon resolves, we pretty much just have the win because they'll need to counter it unless they have Cryptic or Logic Knot. So Cryptic or Snapcaster and Logic Knot. So how do we play around this now? How do we play around this now? Because they kind of can't let... They probably can't let the Eidolon resolve. Unless they have Snapcaster or another Cryptic. And if they have Snapcaster Cryptic, then they basically have to tap out. If they have Cryptic, 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3... They have 3 mana still. This is actually a tough decision here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll throw this out. See what happens. I know it's going to have to get countered, but I don't know how they're going to counter it. That's what I'm wondering. I'm hoping it's... Yeah, okay, so that's fine. Do you have another one? Nice! Okay, whew, we got there. Tough call. That could have, because if that hadn't resolved, it could have gone real bad real fast. So we want Molten Rain. We don't need too much in this matchup. Skullcracks are good. Anything instant speed is really good. Lavamancer isn't as important. They don't really have like tons of creatures. I don't love Searing Blaze in this matchup. I mean, eventually you will get a target for it, right? Like Snapcaster, Vendilion Click. I don't think this deck runs Colonnades, but things like that. Like eventually you will sort of get a target. Timely Reinforcements token, something like that. But it isn't great if you want to just like hold things up and then like let a bunch of spells out at once, right? Because then you have to have land drop and then spells, things like that. So I don't love Searing Blaze, so I will cut 2 of those. What else don't I... Well, is there anything else I want to bring in? No. Rest in Peace deals with Logic Knot and with Snapcaster Mage. I'm not especially worried about those. I mean, there can be times when it's good, obviously, but I don't think it's really what we want to do. I think we just want to kill them as quickly as possible, and a two mana spell that doesn't deal damage isn't really where we want to be. And then Path, they don't really have anything we need to Path. It's kind of just not great. So no, this is what we want to do. Happy with this. It would be nice. It's funny, I'm running into Control. When I purposely was kind of like, you know what, I haven't faced Control in a long time. I don't need my Exquisite Firecrafts in the sideboard for this league, but here we are. That being said, this is still a pretty good matchup, I think. We got lucky that they didn't have any Lightning Helix or anything in that game. That was really helpful, because that can make a huge difference. I don't love this hand. It's got the right number of lands and spells, but it has no 1 mana plays. This Searing Blaze, like I said, isn't... It's kind of situational. I don't love this hand. This hand is much better. I don't know if a second Lightning Helix is what we want, though. Yeah, I don't think that's really what we want. Lightning Helix is good for killing them and in racing situations and stuff like that, but that's not really what this is. That's a much better draw. So happy about that. Did our opponent mulligan? No, they didn't. I was going to say, sometimes I've had a lot of opponents, especially those who know me in the local metagame, go, you know, mulligan, land on top, Goblin Guide, oh, thank you for fixing my mulligan for me. Yeah, that resolves. So Cryptic on top, that's good to know about. It's also good to see because a 4-mana counterspell is not something that's great. Ooh, followed by Serum Visions, put 2 on the bottom. Oh, come on, have it come in tapped. Come on, let me get this Eidolon in. I'm going to be worried about a spell. Ah, okay. I was going to say, I'd be worried about a spell snare. But, you know what? Maybe they're holding up a path. That's another option. So, we're going to attack in. See if they want to path this. Because if they do, then we're going to drop this Eidolon and it's going to be great. Electrolyze. Okay, it won't be as great. Because it means they'll have a third land and then be able to yeah, do that. Although another option is to because I really do want to drop this Eidolon, but I also really want to be able to bluff I want to be able to bluff a like a Skullcrack, or the other option is again just bolting their face twice, right? Like, and then dropping the Eidolon afterwards. I think we'll see what happens. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna hold up a bolt. I'm gonna try to bolt them at the end of their turn. And then the plan is going to be to untap and Eidolon next turn. That might be a mistake. I might be getting too cute here. Oh, they missed a land drop. Oh, that's so good. Oh, you're in trouble now. Okay, go ahead, counter this. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, now the only thing that really gets them out of this is like a spell snare. Now that's the only thing that really kind of worries me. Well, they got that third land, so they'll have Electrolyze. I can't not drop this. They're gonna probably have to tap out next turn to deal with it. You know, with like an Electrolyze, which is gonna put them to, well, okay. Timely Reinforcements is like the only card that I'm. Oh man, they smartly. Wow, they really, really held on to that. They held on to that path. I'll give my opponent credit for that. That being said, if they don't just toss down a Timely Reinforcements here, they're in very big trouble. Lightning Helix is pretty good too, but yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah. So we're just going to hold this up. And again, the nice thing about the Rift Bolt there is we have to spend the mana now, but they have to spend mana later to deal with it, as well as whatever else we put down here. So that's going to be good. We're going to Lightning Helix, because we want to draw out the counter spells. So hopefully they counter this. Oh, Dispel again. Okay. So do we just have this if they don't have another counter? 3, yeah. So they're going to have another counter spell here. Or another Lightning Helix. That's also an option. Do I let them untap? Do I dare let them untap? Or do I just go for it right now? I did this last game and it worked out well. Dispel. Yeah, I know they've got a Cryptic Command in hand, so I'm just gonna let them. I'm gonna let them sweat. I'm going to let them sweat. End of turn, I'm going to try to lightning bolt them. And then we'll see how that goes. Because if they counter it, great. We'll Boros Charm them to death. If they don't counter it, great. They go to 1. They die from like anything. Their fetch lands are turned off. Snapcaster Dispel. Okay. Well, if that's your plan, I don't like your odds. Well, hopefully this resolves. I can't think of anything else other than Disrupting Shoal. But we'll see. Yep, awesome. Woo! Nice. Okay, we're... And the opponent shows us the Cryptic, the Electros, and 3 bolts! Wow, we just didn't give them any targets. Did they have to tap out? They could have been bolting our face, couldn't they? Or do they have to tap out every turn? I'll have to watch the video again. But yeah, so they had all the answers to like our Eidolons. They had like all the answers to our Goblin Guide. What they should have been doing... Did they have one of these lightning bolts when they Path to Exile the Eidolon? Because if they did, they should have just used that. They must... Yeah, they must... No, maybe not they must have. That was enough turns ago that maybe whatever's in their graveyard right now is what they had. But yeah, wow, awesome. Okay, whew. Well, you know, like I said, sometimes this matchup can be tough if they just go Timely Reinforcements into Snapcaster, into Recast Lightning Helix. But overall, this is a pretty good matchup, and I think I went for it when I should have and didn't when I didn't. So it is a tough guessing game though. So anyway, this has been Andrew. Day 2 Dryden. We're back on the burn train. Fire's back on the menu. Flambe it up at the restaurant. Hopefully you enjoyed the match. You know, hopefully you enjoy the rest of the league too. I'm having fun, and I will see you next time.